So you've started the podcast. I caught you that time. You didn't get me. You didn't get me. You didn't get me. I went, yeah. So I'll start off with my little annoyance about what Jared's about to talk to, and then I'll let him go, which is the NFL still not really knowing how to deal with COVID. The Browns had figured out a way with the NFL partner, AT&T, I think it is, or whoever their mobile partner is, where he was going to be able to kind of head coach from the sidelines. Well, not from the sidelines, from in Cleveland. So basically, they were going to allow him to watch the live feed of the game, which is no different than someone being sat in the offensive coordinator's box. And they were going to allow him to not call plays, but kind of have an input as the game went on and kind of be able to make adjustments. And effectively, what I saw was a guy with an iPad strapped to his chest, walking around being Stefan Stefanski, which I thought, that is admirable that he wants to keep head coaching. But the NFL went, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Why?
I don't get it. It's like, I think they should just strap an iPad to Zach Galifianakis and have him run up and down the sideline. I mean, he's got the same last name, basically.
Yeah. You know. I've pulled the pill on Jared moaning about the NFL, so off you go, buddy.
It's just so. It's funny because I actually already built this up to be something big, like right before we started, and I just have said, just starting to talk about it, I've already lost the energy to, because it's just so on top of what's happened this week in the United States. And then it's just a reflection. Everything is a reflection of itself.
Yeah.
The NFL is such a reflection of just what has been going on. You know, you think you want sports to be an escape from stuff, and instead the NFL refuses to be just an escape. Just play the game.
Yeah.
Just be an equitable place for players to play the game, but they don't do that, and they don't care about their players. All they care about is, 32 owners making enough money
to I mean,
wash it all back into the league. It's I mean, and the Browns still probably aren't going to be at full strength by tomorrow.
They're not going to be at full strength. It's also as well. Now,
COVID to me should never be treated like an injury, but the NFL is just treating it like an injury.
Yeah, they're just going, oh, he's on the COVID list, he's injured. It's that's not how that should be.
Yeah.
That's not at all how that should work. I mean,
COVID is not a sprained wrist or a twisted ankle. It's.
Sorry, I'm making a fuckery of this.
Wonderful view, Gavin.
Thank you. My laptop is being a bastard.
Did you Is it alive still?
It's alive still, but I'm plugging the charger into it, and it's no, you haven't plugged the charger in.
Oh, it's just not happy about being juiced up a bit.
Yeah, you keep talking. I'll work with this.
Okay, well, basically, I'm just pretty much done with the NFL. And I mean, I've probably been done with the NFL for about 2 months. Just from this season alone.
I just think that this could have been handled so much better. You knew how long your season was going to take. Perfect. You knew how long your season was going to take. You knew that you were going to have problems with COVID. If you had sat down at the beginning of the year and gone, right, we're going to play an NFL season with COVID. Okay, we're going to definitely have to do that. We and at a certain point, sports had to come back, because I think if I'd spent another night on my sofa watching Netflix without sport, I would have gone mad. It was an effort to return to normality, which I understand. But there is no clearly defined line at which point a team shouldn't play a game. Right. We're in the playoffs now, what we want to watch, and what this game was built up to be, was this is the Browns' first not real chance. This is the Browns being able to put it on the Steelers. It's effectively the Browns and the Steelers is a big brother, little brother relationship. And for the past 18 years, the little brother is being kicked.
Oh God, like thrown down the hill.
Yeah. And this is the chance now. They're not missing any notable players this week, but a head coach, I would say, is in the same realms of a notable player.
Mm-hmm. Now, head coach can often be the difference in a game.
Yeah, Stefanski has basically said that he's like, look, the team don't need me. That they know what their identity's like. They know, all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, he's the play caller.
Yeah. You're the guy that's looking at the field going, we need to do this now. Yeah.
And for the NFL to turn around and go, no, you can't even just have an eye, you can't have remote contact of any kind. We won't waive that rule. I'm just like, come on, guys.
Not even allowed to phone in and,
really
strap an iPhone to the assistant coach's face like this, and just Stefanski just in his ear the whole, like, who cares, man?
I mean, even if you said to him, he said, look, we're not going to allow you to be have an iPad on the sideline or something like that. But even if you said, right, you can have a remote connection to the offensive coordinators up in the box.
Yeah.
Because even then, there may have been a couple of seconds delay or something like that. But he would have been able to go, okay, this is the next play I want to play. Then this, then this. Okay, put Baker on a phone. I want to talk to Baker about this, this, and this. Okay, put the defensive guy on the thing. I want to talk about this, this, and this. It would have, at least in my opinion, shown an element of understanding and tact from the NFL, which is what they're missing.
Well, and I think most leagues are still kind of missing this, because they're keeping around all of these rules, and all of this stuff that's like, the integrity of the game or whatever. I don't even understand. So
in my opinion, there's been some things and stuff like that. Like, at the end of the day, yes, the NFL has its rules, but this year, what I think should have happened was that when let's use this scenario because it's the one we've got in front of me. Now, both teams are at full strength, relatively player personnel-wise. But Stefanski obviously isn't going to be able to be there. Now, the Browns asked the NFL, and the NFL went, no. In my opinion, that decision shouldn't have been the NFL's decision. It should have been between the Browns and the Steelers.
Yeah.
Now, if the Browns had turned around to the Steelers and went, look, our head coach has got COVID. Can he Skype in? And I reckon the Steelers, being good sports and stuff like that, probably would have gone, yeah, sure. And that's what all the teams should have done, was the discussion should have been between the two teams. The NFL should have turned around and gone, as long as both teams are happy with the contest, we're good to go.
Yeah.
It was the same thing as when they had, I can't remember, I think it might have been the Rams. Not the Rams. The
Ravens, where they had 8 COVID.
Yeah. Things. Where they didn't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And then the NFL went, no, you can't activate the assistant, one of the assistants or something like that, who was the most experienced.
I think they were trying to put the quarterback coach in.
Yeah. To me, that should have been a question to the other team going, can we put our quarterback coach in? And if the other team went, yeah, sure.
That's a simple question of, do you mind if we don't play this game this week?
Yeah. Or if either team has more than 5 players unavailable or something like that, then you defer the game.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been difficult for the NFL to pad their schedule by about 3 weeks, because what you could have done was you could have gone, right, let's add 3 weeks of, 3 extra weeks onto the end of the season.
Yeah.
If any game, the two teams go, we're not at strength to play because there's a COVID or there's a COVID outbreak, something like that. The teams go, we're not going to play, and it gets deferred to the end of the year.
Now, if the deferral results in you also not being at full strength for whatever reason, that's it. You have to play.
Yeah, you get 3 deferrals over the course of the year.
Yeah. because there's 3 weeks at the end. So you've got 3 chances to defer. You can or you can't, or you don't want to. You do or you don't. And then,
to be honest, that to me, probably actually from an NFL trying to sell not tickets and all that kind of stuff, that would have been more of a show, because instead of the first round of the playoffs this week, we could have had, the Steelers have got to play the Buffalo Bills or something like that. But if this, it's an extra game that they haven't played, which, if they win that, does this, and it would have given you a bit more drama, a bit more pizzazz, so to speak.
Not that there wasn't any drama towards the end, which we'll get into in a bit, but yeah, it would have added. You could have added a little bit more to whatever, right? And I'll give you an example of another dumb rule that like leagues aren't giving up. So the NHL has released how they're going to run things when the season starts up on Wednesday, which we can talk a bit about, I guess.
Yeah.
But so they're going to have this thing called a taxi squad, which is like a group of like, I think it's 6 or 7 extra players in case there's a sudden like COVID outbreak on the team and you need more players or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But you know what waivers are?
Yeah.
So the problem is that when you put a player on the taxi squad, they have to go through waivers. Even though they're not leaving the NHL.
So is this each individual team will have a couple of players that are on the taxi?
Yeah. But
I mean, why does that have to go through waivers? Just put him on the taxi. Just go, we're putting this guy on the taxi this week.
And then it's like, the players on the taxi squad will equate to, I think it's like, I have to look at it again exactly because I've lost it. But it was like you can't, the taxi squad counts towards the cap as well, not in like full capacity, but there's a percentage of the taxi squad salary that still counts towards the cap. I was like, just make it 0, man. Like, really?
This is the kind of thing where there's people that are sat there going, oh, well, no. Just this year and last year, just stop worrying about the money side of things.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, there's been a couple of players in the NFL where, so I think there was one offensive lineman whose wife is asthmatic and both his kids have got issues. He has stayed in a hotel away from home the entire time.
Yeah. That's hard, man.
Yeah. And his team wanted to pay him for it as an extra bonus.
Right.
And the NFL were like, oh, well, you're changing his contract halfway through the season. There's a penalty for that. And I'm like, why are you holding on to that? Let that go. Just let it go. Because I assume with this taxi squad that none of these teams are going to want to put any of their main players on this taxi squad.
No, not at all.
It's all going to be,
so want to have their main players on the team, right? Like if they have to put one of their, like let's say the Maple Leafs, like what, God forbid Austin Matthews has COVID a second time, right? So Austin Matthews gets put on the COVID list. Somebody has to come off the taxi squad, but all of that still counts towards the cap.
Yeah.
So you have to do cap finagling garbage to make sure that your team still fits under the cap, despite the fact that you can't play 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them because they've got COVID.
It seems like arguments for argument's sake. It's like creating something extra for no reason. Anyway, can I have my rant now?
Yes, go ahead. You wanted to have your rant about Le Mans.
No, so it's not a rant.
Okay.
Not a rant, so to speak. So Le Mans is coming back with a new category next year, which is called LMDH, which is hypercars and basically the fastest thing that every single company can make.
What does LMDH officially stand for? Do you know? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I've embarrassed you. Go on.
Acronym. So far, companies like Toyota, Peugeot, Glickenhaus, And a couple of other notable ones have gone and said they're going to do it, including Audi and Porsche. Porsche are going to be back at Le Mans properly, not ninnying around anymore in GT. They're going to be right at the sharp end, doing it properly. And the thing is, as soon as Audi went, we're coming back, Porsche went, all right, we're coming back too. Because if Audi win one more title, they've tied Porsche.
Oh, well, an all-time, eh?
All-time. So Porsche are like, we're back, we're bringing it back. They're bringing back, they think, the 917 name, which is the most famous Porsche in Le Mans history. But they're doing it kind of like, they're being very flirty about it, but almost coy. So 3 years ago, they released the 917 concept, which was a 917 that completely met the Le Mans spec. But then everyone turned around and went, oh, it meets the Le Mans spec. Are you coming back to Le Mans, Porsche? And Porsche went, yeah, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. It's just a prototype.
And everyone went, fun in the
and game. Everyone went, okay. And then they developed 9 engines, one of which developed 1,000 horsepower with a recovery system and electric powertrain combined, which is what you have to develop for Le Mans. And then everyone went, what's that going in? And they went, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
We're just
no idea what you're talking about. No idea what we're talking about. And then they went, when all the other teams started turning around and Peugeot went, yeah, we're going to come back. Toyota went, yeah, we're going to come back. And all these other companies went, yeah, we're going to come back. And I have to have a notable shout out to whoever runs the Glickenhaus Instagram account, who I have messaged backwards and forwards a couple of times, because he publicly called out Aston Martin.
Oh.
Aston Martin developed the Valkyrie. And then there was going to be a Valkyrie race car. And we saw what this thing was going to look like, and they said, we've developed it for this thing. And then certain people took over Aston Martin and went, nope, you can't do it anymore. Stroll. And then it kind of got mothballed. So Glickenhaus turned around and went, stop being a bunch of pansies and bring it on. Because Aston Martin went, we can't afford it. And Glickenhaus, who is a small American manufacturer, who sell like 7 cars a year, went, if we can afford it, you can afford it. Ooh. Stop being wusses. To which Aston Martin replied, blah, 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 blah. To which Glickenhaus went, if you really want to prove you're better than us, do it on the track, not on Twitter.
Get wrecked.
So yes, but Porsche then went, we're gonna release a car and we're gonna do everything and all this kind of stuff. They basically went, we've got a car ready to go. It's been tested. We're definitely going with a full factory effort. And everyone went, well, so show us the car then. And Porsche went. So just wanted to say that's my entire rant. I'm very much looking forward to it because I'm a big endurance guy. Porsche, please show us the car. Because you've teased us now for almost 4 years.
Well, and if you like Glickenhaus so much and you're in contact with them, you should get a sponsor, maybe.
I'll work on it. I will work on that. I don't know how our sponsorship rate goes, because I thought we'd start with let's get the podcast up and then we'll maybe like a VPN service and then MeUndies and then maybe
legends and.
Yeah, at a certain point, we work up to being sponsored by a supercar manufacturer.
Right.
But, I'll send the message. Don't know if it's going to happen.
Before we get into the games, and we do have to kind of blast through them because the first one starts in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I do have to talk about the jersey behind me. That was the World Juniors. They did wrap up on the 5th.
Yes.
Canada lost to the United States 2-0. In a fairly disappointing effort, if I'm honest. Mm-hmm. And I'll say this about the The first period was where the Canadians lost the game. The Americans came out, they set the tone, they had a game plan, and they executed it perfectly.
Yeah.
And by the time the third period happened, Spencer Knight, the American goaltender, was dialed in and stopped everything. And that's all they needed. The Canadians pressed really hard in the third, but they just.
What was the end score?
2-0.
I mean,
they just couldn't get anything by Spencer Knight, and that's fine.
Should Spencer Knight maybe give instructions to the police officers working at the Capitol?
I'd say so. Okay. How to defend,
How to defend,
from getting past them.
Yeah. Anyway, we won't talk about that because we're not a political podcast.
Right. So there were some people that were talking about how this team had the potential to be the best team in ever for Canada if they won the gold, which is a fair statement. And it is a disappointment that they didn't win the gold because they have 19 first-round picks. Yeah. The Americans had 7, I think, or so. Something along those lines. All I'm going to say is that the World Juniors is unpredictable. The Americans have kind of branded themselves as being the fastest team to play against. Right, so Canada's kind of always big and brooding, but very skilled, and the Americans have transitioned out of being big and brutish and gone more for, if you are fast as hell, we don't care about anything else.
Yeah. But the benefit to speed is that you narrow your opponent's ability to make decisions, because if someone's skating down the ice at you and you have 3 seconds to make a decision, then you've got a little bit of time. Whereas if he's skating down the ice at you and you've got 1.5 seconds, your decision-making time has to be so compressed. And that's when people make mistakes.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what they forced the Canadians to do, is make some mistakes. The first goal, Team Canada was just hemmed in their own zone. That line had been out there for over a minute already.
Yeah.
And they were gassed.
Well, the thing is that if you're a team that's used to skating and moving quickly all game, then you get very good at that. But then when you play a team that isn't used to that, they're above, they're at their above level of effort the entire game, which is not them not being aerobically fit or ready to play a team. But you could, at a certain point, if guys are skating flat out the entire time, you're gonna get tired, and there's an element of that as well. So,
well, Canada wasn't used to playing from behind.
No.
Canada never trailed in the entire tournament. Canada didn't allow an even strength goal in the entire tournament until the gold medal game against the United States, where they did both. They scored an even strength goal and led in the game for all of it because they won 2-0. So, this was a very talented Canadian team. I will never deny that. But they are so talented that they were lacking in penalty kill ability.
Yeah.
Because they're all first rounders who probably don't do a whole lot of penalty killing on their junior teams to begin with, because they're top line guys. And then they also just didn't know how to play from behind. So,
which is kind of, that's unfortunate.
Sorry, go ahead, Gavin.
So that it's endemic to a team that is that talented. I always struggle when, if you could put the best 19 guys that play in professional hockey onto the ice at the moment, and I think there would be an element of, it'd be a good team, but I don't know if they'd be the world beaters.
Right, because the guy playing on the fourth line is like, why am I playing 12 minutes? I'm used to playing 22.
Yeah. So there's an element of the. I think there's always going to be an issue because Canada goes into every single tournament as the favorite, or one of the favorites, and your standard level of hockey is so much higher than the rest of the world's that, not playing down to the teams that have played before, but before you played the US going into this, I'd say that the level of hockey that the places like the US, Russia, and Canada are at is a step above everyone else. So I think, when you go into games against teams that are that talented, it's a different level. And
well, this particular tournament, even Russia didn't test Canada.
No.
They won 4-0.
Yeah. And the problem is that faults don't show in anything until they're under stress. So the only time that Canada team was under stress was against the USA, and there you go.
Yeah.
So
so that's how that went.
Yeah.
The Americans people are very upset about the Americans bringing a barrel out onto the ice with the Hockey Canada logo on it and taking photos at the end of the game. All I have to say about it is that I don't understand why they walked it back. I'm also just going to shut the blind here because I've got lines on my face. There we go. So apparently according to one of their star players, they had been doing this the entire tournament, where they supposedly had a barrel for every team that they faced with their logo on it, I guess. And they were talking about how, it was, we played the tournament one barrel at a time because that's the saying. And I'm like, who the hell says that, first of all? Have you ever heard one barrel at a time?
No. Where did they get that many barrels made?
Well, no.
Barrel guy?
They're just those blue big trash bins. Big plastic blue barrel trash bins.
Yeah.
So truly, they stuck the Canadian Hockey Canada logo on a trash bin and took photos with it. Which, like, if you're gonna do it, just own it. Just be like, yeah, we won and we wanted to stick it to the Canadians, and so we did that.
Yeah.
Like, don't try to walk it back, because now you look worse, in my opinion.
I mean, someone needs to have a word with all these professional athletes of this whole, we're going to do something to stuff it in your faces, because it's the same as Juju Smith-Schuster dancing on a logo. It's the same as, why would you if it was one of those things that the Canadian team had something that was on their ice or something that was in their stadium that was endemic to them, and when you beat them, you took a photo with it, then yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I get it. But, like, if they had the toonie in the center of the ice and you beat them on their own soil, I can understand, yeah, you all take photos with it and go, yeah, we beat the Canadians, and that's kind of okay. But putting their logo on a bin, bringing that bin out to center ice and taking photos with a bin.
Yeah.
With the best, Bell said it's pretty trashy, which was quite a good pun. But with the best will in the world makes you look like a little bit of Burks.
Right. And it's not like they took photos with any of the other barrels that they claimed that they had.
So what are you doing with said barrel?
They've achieved it. Yeah.
That's my reaction.
I just thought it was really stupid that they
really dumb.
Like, yeah, we put the Hockey Canada logo on a trash bin and did it because, and yeah, we look like pricks, but we were really happy that we beat them, and we really wanted to stick it to the best team of the tournament, so we did that.
Do you know what you could have also done? You could have just said, yeah, we beat Canada, we're really happy about it.
Yeah. Anyway, you want to talk about the NFL now?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah, I guess. We'll quickly go through the games from last week and talk about
most of them didn't matter.
The Vikings beat the Lions by 2 points in a game where defense didn't matter.
No.
The Buccaneers doubled up the Falcons in a game that didn't matter.
No.
The Patriots doubled up the Jets in a game that didn't matter.
Why did we win this game?
But at least the Patriots won. Hey, you know what? Dignity, pride, I guess. I don't know. You're only helping the Jets tank better.
Yeah, all we did in this game was help the Jets.
Yeah.
And also, why is this the game that Cam Newton decided that he'd play really well?
That's a good question.
Why did he go against the Jets last game of the season?
Cam Newton, who, by the way, has announced that he will not return to the Patriots next year.
Thank fuck for that.
Don't want him anymore, eh?
The Bills did bad things to the Dolphins.
Yeah, they did.
This, to me, looked like... I mean, the Dolphins are a good team. They were without Ryan Fitzmagic, who I think maybe would have been the only person that could have pulled 56 points out of him. But
Well,
this felt like...
Dolphins being a good team.
Yeah, this felt like... Have you ever heard of a tune-up game?
Yeah.
Yeah, this felt like a tune-up game.
Mm-hmm.
This was the Bills going, let's put as many points as we can on another team to get ourselves ready for next week.
And there was a few of these. The next one wasn't quite a tune-up game because the Steelers went, we're just going to sit everybody that matters and still scored 22 points on the Browns.
This was a... So a lot of people are saying that the next week's game, which we will talk about between the Browns and the Steelers, is going to be a destruction. The Browns have got not a safety issue. They've got a cornerback issue where they're running on the dregs of the barrels of the cornerback, the things. So all Mason Rudolph did all game was find whichever of their wide receivers had lined up against this, undrafted free agent cornerback and throw to them. And this guy, this undrafted cornerback got targeted 24 times.
Yeah, they were just abusing this man.
Yeah, they were just abusing him, but they didn't destroy him. It wasn't like they had a hole in their defense, and Mason Rudolph exploited it.
Yeah,
that was what happened in the game. There you go.
That hole. And I mean, if you have to defend the same person or somebody 24 separate times, meaning that the rest of your team only has to do much less defending of passing and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's also
that guy's probably exhausted.
Yeah, it's also as well, and not being, if I just want to point this out that against a cornerback who hadn't played for the Browns all year, Smith-Schuster only went for 65 yards, which, you don't want that, but you've got to admit on the Browns front that, there was an element of, it was going to happen.
Yeah.
The Browns didn't seem to struggle to move the ball. It was I can pass it when I want to. We can run it when we want to. I mean, the Steelers, the Browns were able to rush on them because TJ Watt wasn't in the lineup. I'm sorry, but if the Browns are able to run as much as they did this week as they are next week, I don't know what the Steelers
are going to have a hard time.
Huh?
The Steelers are going to have a hard time.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult game, but the Browns did what they needed to do.
CJ Watt is not JJ Watt.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a Watt, which I think endemic for the family, and he is a defensive weapon. But one player does not a run defense make.
Or
putting him in the lineup is not going to stop that running problem.
Right.
That I think this weekend the Browns are going to run the football, and that's how they're going to do it. I think there'll be some passing in this game.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see how much of a difference Big Ben makes to this offense compared to Mason Rudolph. But Browns won, made themselves into the playoffs, which is the first time that they've done that in 18 years, which I think anyone who was moaning about Baker Mayfield's prospects or how good of a prospect he was, this was an achievement.
Yeah.
Or in 3 years, they've gone from a team that couldn't win a game to the playoffs. How far they go in the playoffs, I think me and you will have very different opinions on that, but they are in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
In 3 years.
So it's a very good turnaround, and it's kudos to their development squad and their management team. Truly, turning them around.
No one cares about the next game.
Well, the Giants thought they were in the playoffs for a few hours.
And then they weren't.
Until Washington beat the Eagles, which we pretty sure we all knew that was going to happen, and the Giants went, never mind.
Oh.
which I turned around and went, why did you think otherwise? Like,
I mean, they're missing their pivotal player.
Yeah.
The Giants are in rebuild, and they were missing Saquon Barkley, which I actually think was a benefit for them this year because it means they dropped a bit lower in the draft.
Right. So why do you want to make the playoffs? It just, anyways.
Anyway,
The Ravens had a tune-up on the Bengals.
Yeah.
That's what happened there. The Colts had a bit of a tune-up on the Jaguars as well.
Not as much as they would have thought. The Texans, and to me, this is an endemic game. There's a couple of things I want to pull out of this. One, the Texans, yes, okay, 41 points is not a great amount to put up, but the Titans have done a lot worse to a lot better teams. You scored 38 points.
Yeah.
You didn't need to win this game. And really, in reality, as unfortunate it is a benefit if you lost it.
Well, but they forced the Titans to win this game.
Yeah, they made it a game. And one of the things that was most pivotal to me, and no one knows what's going on in Texas at the moment, but what was said to JJ as he walked off to the field by the Texans quarterback, Deshaun Watson, was, "I'm sorry I've wasted one of your years." Now, to me, the Texans have kind of got a decision at the moment. You have an offense that can score points. Now, I think you need to bring in some running back talent because that's an area you're lacking. Yeah. You have a defense with JJ Watt and that you can build the rest around. I think maybe you need some safety talent, but you're not that far away. You should have been an 11-5 team this year, not a other way around. Hopefully they get a good head coach, but I hope there's conversations that go on where the Texans turn around to JJ and go, "Don't leave us yet. Here's what we're going to do. Let's go on a run." And I really hope they do because they've got the possibility. They've got the team there. They definitely have the talent. It's just a case of.
It's just a case of adding a few pieces in big pieces in my opinion, but and then figuring it out. The Rams doubled up the Cardinals in a high-scoring baseball game.
The benefit of this as well was that the Rams didn't even have their normal quarterback. They didn't have Jared Goff. They had some 25-year-old who they found.
Right, and to me, the Cardinals needed to win this game, and nobody seemed to really show up. So,
and that's for me a difficult thing because I didn't watch this game. I'd have to watch the replay and see where the problems is. But when you've got an offense that's got DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald in it, why are you scoring 7 points?
Well, and I mean, Kyler Murray got hurt, so they had to put in Chris Streveler. And here's another thing that I wanted to rant about.
Okay.
So Chris Streveler was the backup quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last season. He won the Grey Cup with the Blue Bombers because he was one of, if not the best quarterbacks at running the ball and managing the ball on the field as far as the running game goes.
Yeah.
He's also like 6'5", so he can literally fall forward and get you a first down or a touchdown if you're close enough. So the Arizona Cardinals picked him up and said, right, we want you to do the same thing that you did for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, right?
Yeah.
Which is great. Kyler Murray's their starting quarterback. He's the one that's the gunslinger, and Streveler is the backup who's going to rush it, run it, get it into the zone when it needs to be done. In this game, Kyler Murray gets hurt, and so they have to put Chris Streveler in. Now, Streveler threw a touchdown on like his second pass.
Yeah.
Or his first career NFL touchdown.
Yeah.
Went 11 for 16 and 105 yards, but did throw a pick six, which was at the end of the first half and didn't look great. And they brought in an injured Kyler Murray at the end of the game to try and salvage something and not get eliminated from the playoffs. Now, Tony Dungy the color commentator with him and Al Michaels for this game, said something about after Strebler threw the pick six about how the defense is a little tougher in the NFL than in the CFL, and I tweeted this very statement because many CFL fans who are also NFL fans, who are quite frankly football fans, because those do exist, you can enjoy both leagues, surprisingly enough, without ripping on one or the other. This angered a lot of CFL fans because...
Rightly so, because it's a stupid comment to make.
Right. Because, quite frankly, Chris Strebler was not known for his throwing ability. I mean, and if Tony Dungy knew anything about Chris Strebler and did an ounce of research, he would understand that Chris Strebler was not brought in to throw the ball. It's got nothing to do with tougher defense. No. He didn't throw the ball well in the CFL either, because he's a running quarterback.
Yeah, that's just...
So,
I think Pat McAfee made it very, very clear earlier in the week. There are some people that are commenting on NFL football games that shouldn't be. As well, while we're here, the guy that does the color commentating or does the Sky coverage of the NFL needs to shut the fuck up. He's a fucking tool and he knows little to nothing about football. Well, I for 5 years watched Super Bowls where going into the Super Bowl, he would say, Tom Brady's too old, they can't play football, and then watch him win the Super Bowl and then say the same thing the next fucking year.
Well,
nothing about football.
Not only win the Super Bowl, but just demolish his opponents, especially the time when they, destroyed the Falcons.
It just hurts.
I have full respect for Al Michaels and Tony Dungy. They've been doing it for a very long time. I do think they're a bit past their prime, though, as it happens with all people. Al Michaels sounded really good in the 90s and the early 2000s. But, such as it is. I mean, Doc Emmerich retired this year from the NHL. One must move on eventually, and it might be their time. And this comment's just lame, really. Yeah. It just shows that you're unresearched,
So we need to move on because the next game is actually almost about to start. The Saints beat
Panthers. That was a tune-up game. The Packers and the Bears, that was a tune-up game, even though the Packers are in the friggin' playoffs. Or the Bears, sorry. The Bears are in the playoffs for some reason, and I'll get to that in a second as well. The Chargers beat the Chiefs because the Chiefs sat everyone that mattered.
Yeah, I mean, this
it didn't matter. The Seahawks... It
didn't matter to the Chiefs.
Right. The Seahawks probably felt a little scared against the 49ers and are...
this should have been a lot further away.
Yeah.
A lot more.
Probably a little nervous for today's game against the Rams.
And then two games don't really matter. The Raiders beat the Broncos
by 1 point.
And Washington beat the Eagles
and got into the playoffs. Now, this whole season has been about Alex Smith's return, really, and I think this game kind of is the pinnacle of that. And I don't believe that Washington's going to go past tonight, but it's a nice story to see Alex Smith come back in this way.
One thing I did that I think was actually quite good to point out. So they're playing the Buccaneers. Bruce Arians was asked, "Well, how does it feel to be playing?" I think they're like a 6-8 team, aren't they?
And he said, "Washington is 8-8."
Yeah,
7-9.
What does it feel like playing an 8-8 team? He said, "We're not playing an 8-8 team because with Alex Smith at quarterback, they're 6-1.
Right.
We're playing a 6-1 team." So,
all I will say about that is, Washington's 8-8, the Bears are 7-9, I believe. If I click on it, sorry, the Bears are 8-8, and Washington is 7-9. When you're the Miami Dolphins and you go 10-5 and you get eliminated from the frickin' playoffs.
Yeah.
This is stupid, man. Like
I can't really see how
I do not understand the obsession that major sports leagues have with divisions and making sure that one team from every division gets in because it has to be fair. And it's like, I'm sorry, if one division is ass, like we had this year in the NFL, absolute garbage.
Oh yeah, I
I'm sorry. None of them should be allowed in. I don't care. They're not good enough because you have a fundamentally better team than both the Bears and Washington.
The Browns
Miami Dolphins that are not in the playoffs now.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there's my final rant about the NFL. We're gonna do, because yes, we have to blast through this very quickly because the game is starting.
But we just have to do that game very quickly.
Now, yes, the Colts and the Bills. I'm gonna pick the Bills. I feel like we're both on the same page on that one.
Yeah.
So the Bills are gonna go through.
Next one is the Seahawks and the Rams.
I respect Phillip Rivers. The team's just not good enough. The Bills are built better than the Colts. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. This is the way it is. I can't argue with that one.
Yeah.
Have you who's the quarterback for the Eagles again?
Carson Wentz.
Have you seen that all the Eagles fans are talking about, that how they'll trade Carson to the Colts and all this kind of stuff, and everyone's going, oh, it'll be an amicable trade for everyone because he gets to go to a better team because Carson doesn't want to be in the Eagles anymore, and blah 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 blah. And all the Colts fans are going, it's not an amicable trade. We don't want him.
Yeah, who wants Carson Wentz's values at an all-time low right now?
He's the point where his backup won a Super Bowl was the point where you go,
yeah.
Because if his backup won a Super Bowl, he should have come back into that system the next year and fucking dominated.
They scratched him for multiple games this year. Cam Newton is more valuable right now.
I don't know where either of those two land. Some people are saying that Carson might end up in New England. That hurts. But
I think that puts you in a worse state than Cam Newton.
I mean, we couldn't get any worse. I don't actually know if it's possible.
I think it is if it's Carson Wentz. Anyways, that's off-season talk.
Yeah.
Hawks and Rams are later today.
I am gonna go.
See, I think this is the biggest toss-up of the wild card.
Well, I would say let's write some down and stuff like that, but you haven't got a piece of paper because you're the host, so you're gonna have to say.
Don't expose me. You said you'd write them down. I'm
writing them down. So I've picked mine. You tell me yours.
I think I'm gonna go with the Rams.
Yeah.
To be honest,
I can see that.
They're not gonna get any further.
No, this is the one where honestly I think it depends what time of day you ask me, because I think it could be the Rams. I think it could be the Seahawks. The Seahawks haven't shown that they're the domineering force that they have been in the past. They're good. They're very good, but I don't know.
Okay. I'm looking back at the schedule now, and I might change my answer.
Yeah.
The Seahawks are hot, and the Rams are not. Like the Seahawks have won 3 of their last 4, and the Rams have not.
Okay, I've written down Hawks for you. The next one, Washington and Bucks.
That's the Buccaneers. I mean,
there isn't.
It's Tom Brady in the playoffs, man. He's gonna go deep on a team like Washington.
It's Tom Brady in the playoffs with weapons.
Yeah.
And it's weapons that at the moment he seems to be able to work with quite well.
Yeah.
Like that receiving core is deep. and he likes all of them. The next one is a replay of last year. So this game, in my opinion, is dependent on whether if the Ravens can stop Derrick Henry, they'll win the game.
Yeah.
But I don't know how that's I don't know if they're gonna be able to do that because they haven't been the best at stopping the run all year. I think they've actually been about 23rd or 22nd in stopping the run, which has been okay because they've got a guy at quarterback who can just put the ball up and put in scores.
And the Titans have been hot going into the playoffs. Not that the Ravens haven't. Actually, you know what? Both of these teams have been winning games leading up to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And the Ravens have been really putting up points. I mean, 47 3 weeks ago, 42 weeks ago.
I don't know if that is them subconsciously preparing for the fact that they know they're not going to be able to hold Derrick Henry to nothing.
Right. Like they're basically just racking up scores because they know they're going to have to against the Titans. Based on the last few weeks, I could really see this game being like a 45-43 victory.
Oh, it's going to be this game for a defensive lineman is either your best thing ever or it's your worst nightmare because it doesn't matter what side of the field you're on. It doesn't matter what side of the field you're on. Someone is going to be running down your throat with the potential to embarrass you. Because if you try and stop Derrick Henry and see what he's done to some people, I've watched people's jobs go. Because there's been situations where he's just put a hand on a grown man's face and gone, "Excuse me." But then there's also moments where I've seen someone come flying in at Lamar Jackson and him just stop, watch them fly past him and then run again. And you just go, buddy. Yeah, you just get up and walk off the field and go home at that point. You're just playing on a different level.
Yeah. You just kind of take your uniform off and just go, "Here you go, coach."
Yeah, I'm going to go for the Ravens.
I think I'm going to go for the Titans, I think.
Okay.
I don't think there's many other games we're going to be opposite.
No.
And it's not that I want to be opposite and, but I just think the Titans might edge them out.
This next one.
Saints.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's the Bears, man. The Bears lost their way into the playoffs. It's embarrassing.
Well, the road went through Green Bay. What else was going to happen?
Well, yeah, but like you lost your way into the playoffs, and then you beat, the Jaguars, and the week before you beat the Vikings, and then the week before that you beat the Texans. I mean, you're beating up on bad teams to get wins, and then in week 13 you lose to the Lions. Like, they haven't been tested, and when they were tested, they failed. They've already lost to the Packers before. They lost to the Vikings as well earlier on. Like, they're not a good team. They shouldn't be here. So the Saints.
I've gone opposite to you because I know what postseason Drew Brees is like.
Well, postseason Drew Brees gets at least to the conference final most of the time.
I don't know. The next one is the one I think me and you are going to have a disagreement on.
Well, I think I've thought about it a bit more. The Steelers are a very one-dimensional team, and that's been exposed because they had a very easy schedule for the first half.
Oh yeah.
And then when it came down to winning games against big teams, they started to fail, and then they couldn't even win games against bad.
They weren't even. When we're talking about this game, it almost seems like we're talking about David versus Goliath. They weren't stopped by a team. They weren't stopped by a Titans or the Ravens or the Seahawks. They weren't stopped by a big team. It wasn't they went to play Green Bay and lost. They lost to Washington.
Well, and their first game, it was a loss to the Bungles.
Yeah. So I think that Stefanski obviously is a smart guy because he's turned this team. I think they've got something up their sleeve. The Browns have got two very talented running backs, and the Steelers can't stop the run. And all that they achieved last week, they didn't run very much last week because it didn't work for them.
Nick Chubb still had 105 yards.
No, I'm talking about the Steelers didn't run very much.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah. They've got some big-bodied, big receivers that can catch the ball. Now, the Browns will have figured out the problem they had last week, which was that the Steelers figured out that they had one cornerback who was activated from the practice squad, and that was where the Browns were weak. Okay, let's throw his side every single time. I mean, we were talking before the podcast. The poor boy got targeted 22 times. Yeah. And they converted on him a lot because he was playing guys bigger than him, faster than him, and more aggressive and better at catching the ball.
That's why he's on the practice roster.
Now, I think the Browns will have fixed this. I think they've moved some guys from safety or are going to play a 3-safety set or something along those lines. And it will be very interesting to see what the actual difference is between Mason Rudolph and Big Ben.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going Browns in this one. I think
I've been swayed.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go Browns as well. I also just hate Big Ben. So
I
would love to see him fail.
I think the Steelers are going to come into this game and go, oh, well, we played this team twice already. We know what they're going to do. And Stefanski is going to come. The Browns have shown that they can switch on you. So everyone for the start of the season went, oh, they're a run team. They're a run team. They're a run team. They're a run team. Oh, no, they're a pass team. They're a passing team.
52 times.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Last week they didn't run very much.
Who
knows? Yeah. So we'll see how that goes.
So that puts the Saints up against the Bucks and the Seahawks up against the Packers for me, right? In the championship.
Yeah. Sorry, let me just figure this out. So you're going to have. Wait, say that again. So you're going to have the Saints against the Packers.
Well, no, it'll be 2 versus 5 and 3 versus, 2 versus 3 and 5 versus 1, right?
Yeah. So I'll write down. So my pen's running out.
I thought you could pick your bracket on the NFL website here, but apparently you can't.
No. So the Packers and the Bucks.
Yeah, Tom Brady versus Aaron Rodgers. That'll be a matchup and a half.
Yeah.
And then the Saints and the Seahawks, because they're 2 and 3, right? Numbers 2 and 3 seed. So that'll be good. And then it's on the other side, it'll be the Browns versus the Chiefs. Because the Browns are the 6th seed, and then the Titans for me. You've picked the Ravens, so it'll still be this way. It'll be the Titans or the Ravens against the Bills.
Okay. I'm gonna have to go and get another pen because this one's fucked.
You should have broken it in 2 instead of thrown it. That would have been way more interesting.
I don't know where it's gone.
Perfect.
So you had the Titans and the Bills.
Yeah, and for you, it'll be the Ravens and the Bills based on the seeding, right?
Okay. So, right, who have you got winning those then? Because we'll do your...
I can't go against the Chiefs on the Browns. I'm sorry. It's the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs might be favorites to win the Super Bowl. Perhaps.
I would be very impressed if I'm gonna hold off on this one until we get to my bracket. Okay, so that's the Browns and the.
So the Chiefs are gonna go through. I'm gonna say the Bills. I think the Bills are gonna go deep. So it'll be the Chiefs and the Bills in the AFC Championship.
Who have you got? Packers and the Bucks.
You see, it's difficult to bet against Tom, especially because like you said about his weapons and everything like that. But I mean, I want Aaron Rodgers to do well. I want Aaron Rodgers to go to the Super Bowl. I also want Drew Brees to go to the Super Bowl, as much as you don't like him. The man deserves a Super Bowl, for God's sake.
He's got to earn it, hasn't he?
I think it could be the Packers and the Saints in the championship.
Okay.
The NFC championship. So we've got the Chiefs and the Bills and the Packers and the Saints.
Yeah.
I think the Bucs are very good, but their defense is slightly more suspect than Jays.
Okay. Right, then who's your Super Bowl contenders?
Oh, see, this is a big one.
Do you want to do it game by game, or?
The Bills have the opportunity to beat the Chiefs.
And the Chiefs have had some lackluster games.
Yeah. I just don't think the AFC Championship game is going to be one of those games.
You don't? Well,
I think Andy Reid is going to make sure that his Chiefs are not going to have a lackluster game.
Yeah.
However,
who's the quarterback for the Bills again? I can't remember his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Josh Allen.
Yes.
It's who's gonna Josh Allen. Both of these teams you look at and you can go, okay, who's got the best quarterback? Arguably Patrick Mahomes at the moment because he's more proven.
Yeah.
The receiving core, I don't know because you'd like to say the Chiefs, but both of these quarterbacks have got number ones that they really like to go to. Patrick Mahomes.
The connection works, right?
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes having the cheetah who just runs by everyone. And then also having tight ends that he can go to and stuff like that. But then the Bills' connection, the connection between the quarterback and Stephon Diggs is incredible. It's like they're basically connected. I can't call this one. I can't.
It's very tough.
Yeah. But it's your bracket, so I don't have to.
Yeah. Well, you might, depending on how your bracket goes.
Yeah.
I will apologize to Bills Mafia. I'm gonna have to go with the safer pick and go with the Chiefs. The slightly more proven pick, I guess. But the future is bright for the Bills. They're gonna be here regularly now, I think. Packers and Saints as well. This one for me is also just as tough to call.
This is a gunslinger. There's not one in here where I go, okay, this is a high-powered defense versus a high-powered offense.
No.
This is, who do you
both defenses have had their struggles this season.
Yeah. Who do you value more as a quarterback? Drew Brees or the bad man in Aaron Rodgers?
Stop Aaron Rodgers.
Because that's going to be the comparison. Because people are going to go, this is Aaron Rodgers' revenge tour of proving that he's the greatest quarterback of all time.
Right.
Because I don't ever think he's going to get as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady, but his first game he's going to have to beat him.
Yeah, and that's what I mean is that if this is how it goes, But the thing is that if the Rams get through, then the Packers will play the Rams. Because I'm sorry, the Bears aren't getting through. They're just not.
Okay.
But if the Rams beat the Seahawks, the Packers will play the Rams, and the Bucs will play the Saints. Right? But that's not my bracket.
No.
So my bracket is, Aaron will already have beat Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
So his revenge tour is half complete right there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I have to go with the Packers beating the Saints and getting through, which is lame because I've gone with the top two seeds in either division and there's been, next to no upsets in my bracket. But I think my reasoning lines up.
So
I've not just gone, oh, they're the best two teams and they're going to win.
Yeah. So I've got to write mine out. So mine's still the Packs versus. I'm just trying to see where we differ.
I think we differ in the Ravens and Titans. I think that's it. Did you pick the Seahawks as well or the Rams?
I got the Rams. So mine is going to be trying to figure this out in my head. So Packs Bucks doesn't change for me.
Well, it does, because if you have the Rams going through, then the Packers will play the Rams, because the Rams are lower seed than the Bucks.
Okay, you're going to have to help me with this. So then I've got the Browns.
It's because I'm looking at it right now. That's why.
Oh.
It's not up on your screen. I have the bracket up on my screen.
Okay, so the Browns I've got going through. Who would they then play?
You picked the Bills, right?
Yeah, so
the Browns will play the Chiefs, like in mine.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you pick the Titans.
Yeah. Titans
will play the Bills.
Yeah.
And then you have the Saints and the Bucks, I guess, on your side, and then the Rams.
Sorry. And then what? Sorry, was the other one?
You have Saints, Bucks, Rams, Packers.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let me have a look at this.
See, now you've got to do all the thinking.
Yeah, I do. It took me not enough brain power to get the bracket together, to be honest. I think the Packers beat the Rams. And the Bucks beat the Saints, because this game I want to see, because there's so many people that go, the Saint, Drew Brees is the best quarterback. Blah 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 blah. Well, this is the game where Tom Brady gets to prove that he's not. So I think he will, because.
So you have the Packers and the Bucks meeting in the championship, not the divisional.
No. I think the Bills beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
And the Browns and the Chiefs.
I'm waiting for you to say it. Is he going to say it?
I'm doing it.
What's he written? Is Browns,
it? Yes? Browns are going to beat the Chiefs.
Hey, he loves the Browns. I think they're your new favorite team, buddy. Screw the Patriots.
I like every year I find another team as well of the team I'm watching. I like the story. So when the Texans were doing really well and they went on a run, and JJ Watt was doing everything to come back, I followed the Texans because I was like, these guys play really well. There was periods of time where when I was watching the Patriots, where I'd go, this is actually quite boring.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tom Brady would do this thing, which, and by the way, if you're a defensive coordinator watching this podcast, I'm about to tell you what you were doing wrong. When Tom Brady goes, hut, and a man motions across the line, and your guy follows him, you've told Tom Brady what defensive scheme you're in.
Yeah.
If your guy stays in the same place, you're playing zone. If he follows him across, you're playing man. That has now just made Tom Brady's decision for him. There you go. That's how he did it. That and something called an option route, Jared, which is where if you put him one-on-one on a wide receiver, the wide receiver's going to run. And if you see this side of him, he's going to go that way. If you see that side, he's going to go that way. Which then means that he's going to get open.
Mm.
And then Tom Brady will pass to him, and that's 10 yards.
He will catch it, and there is a first down.
Yes. Because you can say what you like. Well, not so much this year, but you can say what you like about Patriots receivers. They catch the ball.
Well, and now you can say the same thing about the Bucks.
Yeah. Right. This is the difficult bit.
So you have the Bills and the Browns then, right? And the Packers and the Bucks.
Oh. Right.
So the game currently going on is on ABC.
I'm going to say that the Bucks are going to beat the Packers.
Wow. He still loves Tom Brady, everybody.
I do.
He's biased.
Yes, I am. That's why I'm not a professional at this. I make decisions based on what I want to happen.
I mean, I did too.
Do I send the Browns to the Super Bowl?
Oh my God. Would be a great story. He's going to do it. He's going to be wrong. He's going to be wrong, but he's going to do it.
I hope I'm not, though. I hope I'm not.
I know you hope you're not, but you're going to be wrong.
Not.
The Browns will be there in the next 5 years. Maybe not this year.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Okay, so are we picking a Super Bowl champion now, or are we leaving that?
Right, so you've got the Packers playing the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, in reality, the game that we're probably going to see. Not that I doubt myself.
Right. I mean, I've gone the safe route. I justified things differently than, being just, oh, well, they're the best teams. But I've gone the safe route.
So this is a gunslinger. This is a gunslinging match. There's no way other of saying this. Who do you think is the better gunslinger?
Probably Patrick Mahomes. No disrespect to Aaron Rodgers. The team around Patrick Mahomes as well is just better. Yeah,
I can't argue with that. Incredibly talented team around him.
It's just better on offense and defense. Yeah. So I would have to go, and that's a repeat for the Chiefs. So
okay, so you've got.
I guess I'll do that. As much as I hate to go again, I really want Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. I actually want both Rodgers and Drew Brees to win a Super Bowl.
If I'm honest, and there's a little bit of, I don't think Drew Brees will ever do it.
And that's a really sad thing, and it's not all his fault. Well,
no, I'm going to place some of the blame at his feet. Yeah. Now, I don't think that Drew Brees I think that Drew Brees, if you put Drew Brees and Tom Brady on the same field with the same team, Drew Brees is a better thrower. I don't think he's a better game manager, because I don't think there's a better game manager in the entire game of football than Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Drew Brees took the money. Now, the problem with taking the money is that for a lot of years, including now, he hasn't had the talent around him.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily on the offensive side of the ball, but on the defensive side of the ball. I think if Drew Brees took a smaller contract, then he may have got more. And that's me being honest, because I think that, yes, he may have been able to have 10 million extra a year in the bank account. But if that 10 million had gone and got, if they'd have spent that 10 million somewhere in their defense, then maybe that's a different conversation.
And such as it is.
Yeah.
So who's going to win the Super Bowl on your side?
I think it's Bucks.
Okay.
I think that the Bucks are going to win.
I thought you were going to hand it to the Browns, and I was just going to
You're basically asking me to put my two, that's Tom Brady on. That's Tom Brady basically signing Bill Belichick's bloody retirement papers, or the Browns pulling off something that they have made it to the playoffs, and I don't know what they're going to do playoff wise. I don't. They could be great.
I mean, the potential's there. I don't think the potential to win a Super Bowl is there.
Baker Mayfield has really shown up when he's been in the big games in college. Mm-hmm. He's shown up.
But that's okay. You're giving a 7th ring to Tom Brady.
8.
God's sake. Well, there you have it. We'll have a look next week on how wrong we've been. And we will wrap it up. We don't have any game or anything like that this week. We kind of had to do some jigging, whatnot already. So no game, but lots of NFL discussion. And we will be back next week, of course, on the regularly scheduled programming.
Yes.
Back to our normal Friday afternoon. And we will see you all next week. Better luck to all the losers, including ourselves, because we know who we are. Bye.